This is a brand new electric pressure washer from the Vevor brand. I love Vevor. I have Vevor floors in my shop here, at my home garage, and in my retail location up north. I use Vevor slat wall. I love Vevor, I really do. This thing though, however, is listed with performance numbers of 2,700 PSI and 1.8 GPM. Do I think we're gonna get anywhere near that? No, 0% chance, at least at the same time. There's 0% chance we're gonna get 2,700 and 1.8 at the same time. Typically though, those ratings are best case scenario, tested at the pump, not at the end of the hose. So in today's video, we're gonna test this thing and see what the actual real world performance is that we can expect to get out of this thing. We're gonna be testing the PSI down by the gun. So again, what we're actually going to be getting, and I'm gonna be using a digital PSI gauge for that. And then we'll also test the GPM, or gallons per minute, which is the flow of water coming through it. We'll do a test with that as well to find out the real numbers. But first, let's go ahead and unbox this thing and put it together so you guys have all the information you need about this new unit from Vevor. Little one-sheet assembly instructions for putting this thing together. Little manual, and something nice is a little pin gauge here, not pin gauge, but a little pin system here. Usually it's just a really simple little piece of wire. They have kind of a nice little structured plastic holder to it, but that's just in case your nozzles get clogged. You can penetrate the small orifice of the nozzles and clear them out using that little tool, so that's nice. A couple of the attachment pieces, so I'm just gonna go ahead and pull everything out and then we'll go ahead and assemble. The wheel's already attached to the little foot piece to it. We just gotta attach it to the unit. All right, guys, so here is the heartbeat of the unit itself, right? Really compact, especially before we add the wheels to it, but looks cool. I like the design of it, the color blocking and everything, looks nice. So I'm gonna start off by snapping the wheels on, and it looks like they do pretty much essentially just snap into place and then a simple screw just to lock it in. Now the wheels, we'll bring up close, are hard plastic, but they're nice textured, kind of dual-sided, and they do have a locking mechanism on as well. So you can see it's locked into place now. We flip this up, that releases it, and now it rolls nicely. Pop it back down, and it locks it back in again. Doesn't feel like that's gonna last super long, to be perfectly honest, but as long as it does, it's nice. I do feel that having locking wheels on a pressure washer that has wheels when you're working on a car is important. I don't like having it be able to wheel around freely, because if I'm pulling on the hose, I don't want it to just get pulled into the car. I wanna make sure it stays stationary, so the locking mechanism is important to me. All right, so the wheels are all on. Now there are 2 more screws for 2 other additional things, so we're gonna find out exactly where those go. First things first, so let's go ahead and put the handle onto this thing, and it's just a basic push pin style, so we're just gonna go ahead and line it up, push it down, and get it to seat in, and there's our handle to move this thing around. And the last piece that needs to get screwed in is this piece here. It looks like, because there's 2 screws mounting points for this one. Just goes on this way. This will hold your hose down the road, or your power cord, whatever you want. But we have 2 little screws. Let's go ahead and fish those in and get this tightened down. So we got that installed. Now there are a couple more components to this thing, but I'm assuming that they just snap into place, and it does look like it. So let me go ahead and get these out. So first things first, we do have our garden hose attachment. So we'll line that up here in a second, but first let's go ahead and look at these guys. So we've got this little one that actually goes onto the back piece here underneath this little piece that we already put on. Okay, so we just place it in, slide it into place, and then this will be our little foam blaster holder. Snaps in and you're good to go. So that one's all taken care of. Additionally, we have the wand holder. So we have the actual piece, and then this looks like the base to it. So I'm assuming, yeah, these both go on this side. So let's just go ahead and line this up really quickly. Snap it down into place. That one's good to go. Same thing here. Slide this one down into place. Is that it? Yeah, that is it. That's good to go. And then we can take our extension lance that it comes with, put it in the base, snap it in to place, and then we have the gun itself, and we can put that down here, and it holds in nicely. Now, really quickly, the gun overall is fine. It's pretty cheap. It's fine. It's like a standard pressure washer gun that you would expect, and something in that $200 and under price point for an electric pressure washer. And then finally, we have our nozzles. Nozzle storage does go onto this piece that we installed here. So let's see what we got. They give us 4 different nozzles. They're all a hard plastic tip, and they do wrap around the edge, which is nice. It's a nice design, has a nice visual on it, so it's showing 15 degrees. Now, can I see? Woo, boy, I think, now there's a lot of numbers on here, but it ends in 1/8. So I'm thinking it might be a 1.8 orifice. If they all list that, I don't know. They do, it looks like. I'm gonna assume it's a 1.8 orifice, which would make sense because this thing, they're listing at 2,700 PSI. Again, the numbers that are listed on this are 2,700 PSI, 1.8 GPM. Do I think we're gonna get those numbers? No, not even close, at least at the same time, like not even close. So we will manipulate the nozzles and go to a larger orifice, open that up, we'll reduce our pressure, we'll increase our GPM and see what kind of effectiveness we can get there. Because working around the house, yeah, that higher PSI is nice when you're working on your patio, your driveway, whatever else, but if you're working on your car, you wanna drop that PSI and increase that flow or the GPM so that it's nice and safe and it's gonna wash away and rinse away all the soap much, much faster. Now, one other thing to note, guys, is they do give you 4 nozzles, right? They give you a 0, a 15, a 25, and a 40. There's really only 2 spots to store them because the way this is, you have to store them on this back piece here. There's only room for 2. Now we have 2 others, and of course one of them can stay in the gun, but then that still leaves us with 1, and I don't know where to put it. Maybe I'm just missing it, but whatever. I really don't need all 4 nozzles anyway. And actually, to be perfectly honest, with a unit like this where I want that higher PSI or more cleaning ability for just around the house general cleanup, I do kind of wish that they gave us a turbo nozzle kind of instead of a 0-degree nozzle, because a 0-degree nozzle is essentially just that pinhole, right? Just going straight through, versus a turbo nozzle is essentially this, but it oscillates and kind of creates a cone, so you get more effective cleaning all the way through. So that's just a side note. Again, they do have this little strap here, which is kind of cool. It's just a little, here, I'll take a video up close of it. So right here, and you would just line up your hose. I'm not gonna be able to do this one-handed, but you can put your cord there, and then this just comes over and slides into that piece, and it'll hold in place. So I like, again, overall design and stuff, I really like it. Now, one more thing that I like about this is the way they set it up. Again, as this is a mobile unit, we're able to move this around quite a bit. I like it, especially in this case where the water inlet comes in one side and the water outlet is directly on the other side. So it's kind of in line. So we're not jumbling up a bunch of different hoses and power cords and all that stuff. So this one, you have your garden hose extension or attachment point in the back here. We're gonna go ahead and take this piece and screw it on. This is nice because now we don't have to worry about cross-threading over and over and over again. We're gonna put this on once, and then we have this piece that we're able to just install the garden hose to. So just simply screw that on and we are good to go. Now the other side is an M22 style connection, and that is right up here on the front, okay? So what is an M22 connection? If you're unfamiliar, it's very, very standard for pressure washers because it really seals everything up very nicely. Now, I always recommend upgrading and doing a quick connect kit, but this is an M22 connection. So you get this threading on the outside, and then you also get the internal piece with an O-ring there. So this fills in the hole, right? Fills it in, and then you screw it down and it locks it in really, really nicely. I do recommend using quick connects instead, but that's just a side note. Let me go ahead and check if this is an M22 by 15 or an M22 by 14. The difference there is the size of this. It's either 15 millimeters or 14 millimeters. If you wanted to upgrade your hose, that's a very important thing to know, because if the unit is made to fit an M22 by 15, but you're going to an M22 14 hose, then you're gonna have issues with leaking. So let's go ahead and look at that real quick. All right, guys, now the hose that this comes with, I have a little M22 by 14 quick connect here. I'm gonna go ahead and try and put it on. Nope, not gonna fit. So this hose is an M22 by 15. That's standard for overseas pressure washers. If you want an M22 by 14, that's typically what we get here in the US, but it has to be requested. This one is still an M22 by 14. Just know that going into it, and you will have to run an adapter, M22 by 15 to 14 adapter. I'll link that in the description for you guys if you want to change out this hose. And I would recommend upgrading the hose because this one is pretty lackluster. Again, at a $100 price point, it's what I would expect. But I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys the flexibility of it. And already, boom, you see that? It kinked right there. So I'm gonna move that down. We're gonna go again. Okay, not too bad. And then it kinked again. So why I don't like that, you see how it stays in the line like this? What that does is it creates a pressure point there. So over time, this is kind of a fail point now where it could blow out over time. So I don't like that. Also, very cumbersome. And I believe this hose is 20 feet long. No, I think they advertise the power cord is 35 feet long, so you get a total from an outlet of 55 feet of distance. But really, I want to try and leave this thing as stationary as possible. So upgrading to a 50-foot hose is very important to me. Now, there are a lot of different options for that. Uberflex has been one that I've loved in the past. It comes with an M22x14 connection. I actually made my own in conjunction with them. It is still the Uberflex style. So you'll see this thing is an absolute noodle and does not kink, right? You can get it to roll over on itself, okay? But then it bounces back and doesn't remain in the line. So you don't get that same failure point. And then on mine, I call this the Quiver Flex hose. And we do have stainless steel quick connects already installed. So all you do is get the quick connect set for the machine and then you just boom and you're good to go. All right guys, like I said, I wanted to use everything from the factory to test this unit and see what the numbers are. It doesn't make a difference if we switch over to my Quiver Flex hose. We're not going to get any difference in performance, at least over the amount of time. There's going to be zero measurable difference, 100%. I've done tests between different hoses and lengths and things like that. When we get into the larger diameter hoses from 1/4 to 3/8 inch, we can get some fluctuations in performance then. But again, it's pretty minuscule for the amount of time we're going to be testing. So with that said, this hose I cannot test with because my PSI gauge and everything else needs to be quick connect in, and this is an M22x15 hose, and I need an M22x14 because those are the only quick connects I have. So we're gonna go ahead and take this off. I have one adapter that I can use to switch this over to my Quiver Flex hose, and we'll do it that way. Okay, so here's what an M22x15 to 14 adapter looks like. This side is gonna fill in the 15. This side allows it for an M22-14 to go in. I'm gonna put a quick connect on there as well, onto the other end so that we're ready to receive the quick connect from the Quiver Flex hose. Plug this whole thing in and we'll be good to go. Okay, so we've got the unit all set up now. I have water plugged in. I'm gonna go ahead and turn the water on and check for any leaks as priority number 1. All right guys, so the water is on. I don't see any leaks anywhere, but I'm gonna go ahead and take my pressure washer gun. Again, we're using my prototype now for my new gun because the gun that it came with is M22x15. Again, can't use that. So we're gonna go ahead and release the pressure though. That's always important. Pull the trigger. You see all that air come out? Now here comes some water. We want to do this to release any bubbles in the system. We don't want any air bubbles in there because that'll affect the performance. All right, everything looks good. I'm gonna go ahead and fire it on now and continually just run it. All right, so it does have the total stop system. You can clearly tell this is a universal motor. What do I mean by a universal motor? Universal motors are cheaper. It's pretty standard, right? A lot of the pressure washers from big box stores, their IOBs and things like that, their price point ones are going to be the same thing, universal motors. When we go into the induction motor, that's the next step up. They're heavier, but they run quieter, they last a lot longer, so that's the difference there. These super price point options are always gonna be a universal motor. Let's go ahead and hook up. Now again, because all of these seem to be 1.8 nozzles, they should all get the same performance numbers. But with that said, I'm gonna go ahead and test the 15 degree right now, and then we'll also test the 40 degree to see if there's any discrepancy in the performance numbers. Now I also have an amp meter running here, so I'm gonna go ahead, again with the 15, I'm gonna go ahead and pull the trigger and check our amp reading. So 14.02 seems to be where we're gonna be sitting. Now, as this breaks in, as we run it and the oil and everything starts going through the pump and all that kind of good stuff, that'll settle down even a little bit less. But 14 amps, we know straight off the bat, we're safe on a 15 amp breaker. Now let's go ahead and look at the PSI. So here's my gauge, okay? See what it climbs to. Again, this is another thing that over time, as the unit breaks in and warms up, this will get slightly better as well. But right now we're sticking right at 1680. So 1680 PSI. Are we anywhere close to that 2700 listed? Nope, not even close. Not even close at all. I'm gonna go ahead and switch from this one over to the 40. See what we get there real quick. I'm just gonna let you guys know. slightly more. We're actually at 1705. Let me go back to the 15. Yeah, we're still at that 1680 with the 15 degree. Now, I do think that they're probably meant to be the same size orifice. It's just there's a little discrepancy in the manufacturing process. That's pretty standard. Let's check the 25. Yeah, we're at 1705 there as well. So now again, guys, because these are all supposed to be the same, we're gonna take the average. We're gonna use the green one actually. The 40 was getting the exact same, but we're gonna test the green one and we're gonna test the PSI, we already know, was 1705. Let me look at the amps real quick. Amps are actually coming in slightly higher. Right now we're at 14.2 steady, and now we're starting to drop. So 14.2 with this nozzle. We will test the GPM here shortly, but real quick, I want to go to some larger size orifice nozzles. We're going to get all the PSI ratings first, and then we'll switch over to the GPM so we know where we're at. So 1705 PSI with the factory nozzles. Now this is a 2.5 orifice nozzle. Let's go ahead and check the PSI and the amperage. So amperage we dropped way down. We're at 11.4. PSI, 1065. So we're gonna check one more. I don't wanna go too much lower than that because then the PSI range, it's not enough. So we're gonna go to a 3.0 nozzle. Let me double check, yes, 3.0. And test this one. So we are now at 10.35 amps and 830 PSI. So for me, the 3.0 is too large. I don't want to go to that range because I also don't think this thing's putting out a lot of PSI. It doesn't feel super powerful. So that 1,000-ish with this one, let me double check what that was again. 1,065 is probably where I'll sit. Unless I'm getting really good PSI numbers, then we will, or sorry, GPM numbers, then we'll test that one as well. All right, now the next test we're gonna do is the gallons per minute rating. Let me go ahead and close this gate so it's easier for you guys to see. All right, so for the gallons per minute rating, it's super easy. We just take one of the nozzles, we stick it in the bucket, we pull the nozzle for 1 minute. That gives us our gallons per minute rating. I'll weigh it out so we get an accurate reading. I'll let you guys know where it comes. So number one, we're gonna use the factory nozzle. Okay, let me plop that in there. Let me get my timer, and here we go. All right, there is 1 minute. It actually filled the bucket a lot more than I thought it was going to. Oh wait, no wait, I take that back. It's a shadow, it's quite low. Let me go ahead and weigh it out and I'll tell you guys exactly what the GPM is. All right guys, I am back. I just weighed this out minus the weight of the bucket, then converted that to what a gallon of water weighs. Anyways, we came to 1.05 gallons per minute, so barely over 1 gallon per minute. Again, they're listing this thing as 2,700 PSI, 1.8 GPM. We are nowhere near. Those aren't great numbers. Let me go ahead and switch over to the other nozzle and we'll finalize this test because again, it's not at all what I was really hoping. I was hoping pressure washer companies are notorious for putting out high numbers, right? Because of the way things can be tested. Now, when we go on to the world of pressure washers on Amazon, it's the Wild West and everybody can put whatever they want. There's people stating 3,500 PSI, 3 gallons per minute out of an electric pressure washer that works on a 15 amp breaker. That's not possible with our 120 volt setup. So it's a crazy place. That's why I make these videos so you guys have an accurate understanding of what the actual usable performance will be out of these machines. Again, at a price point of like 120 bucks, it's okay. I wouldn't expect anything super crazy out of it. You know, if we take this and compare it to, if you want that higher flow and you go to the Ryobi Automotive, which is or the Greenworks Automotive, both of those are gonna get much, much better numbers. Slightly more expensive, but still sub 200 bucks. So those are fantastic options. Let me go and dump this out and we'll test the other nozzle. So for the next nozzle at this one was getting 1,065 PSI. I would want this at honestly 1.5 minimum on the gallons per minute, 1.4 minimum to call this thing usable for car detailing. So let me go ahead and start this one. Again, this is the 2.5 orifice nozzle. Here we go. All right, guys, there is 1 minute. Let me go ahead and weigh this one out. So the numbers are in, and The flow, the GPM with the 2.5 orifice nozzle came in at 1.29 GPM. Again, that was 1,065 PSI, essentially 1.3 GPM. I'm sure as this breaks in, we'll definitely get there. Is it terrible? No. Is it anything close to what they're advertising? No. For 125 bucks or 119 bucks, whatever, is it worth the price? Yeah, I think it's gonna do the job for you, no problem, for right around 100 bucks. I'm sure it'll go on sale too. So right around that price, I don't have a problem with it. The only problem I have is when they list 2,700 PSI, we got 16 or 17 maybe. So we're 1,000 PSI off. And then on GPM, we got 1.8 is what they list. And our best, but again, we're dropping the PSI way down, was 1.29. So it's far off, not great there. Now, as far as using a foam cannon with this thing, you're definitely gonna wanna run a 1.1 orifice in your foam cannon. Basically, most foam cannons are gonna come with a 1.25 installed. There's plenty of foam cannons out there now. Mine, the Quiver foam cannon, comes with a 1.1 already, so you can just swap it out. It's super easy to do. I have videos on that as well. If you do that, you're gonna get decent foam with this thing for sure, especially if you're using your quality foam cannon and quality soap. Outside of that, like this thing, this little guy that they give you, I'm not even gonna test. I've tested thousands of these things. It's just a soap blaster. It's gonna blast some soapy water onto your car. Is it gonna foam? No, it's not. It's not a foam cannon. So I'm just gonna leave it at there. But overall, if you need a unit that can move around and things like that, I think the unit looks cool. The handle up top is nice. But again, because it's an M22x15 hose connection, even upgrading this thing is a little bit harder than it should be. So I'll leave it up to you guys. Not a terrible unit, just definitely not what they advertise. So that's it for today's video, guys. Thanks so much for watching. Please make sure to like the video, make sure you subscribe, turn on that notification bell, and we will see you